I enjoy painting most of my miniatures with dramatic lighting, which is to say I like the light to be intense and focused on a small portion of the model. I like it when the light predominantly hits one side of the miniature while the other side remains in deep shadow. To complement this dramatic lighting, I often add an OSL effect to the heavily shaded side of the character. This usually means that I'm painting the miniature with conventional layering, which can be a time-consuming process when compared to something like Slapchop. Then it occurred to me that I could probably prepare the model for Slapchop using the same principles for dramatic lighting to achieve this same effect. After all, preparing a model for Slapchop is basically just underpainting where you want the light to hit the model. So that's what we're doing today. Welcome to Trehane Miniatures. Full disclosure, I suck at using speed paints. This video is all about the underpainting portion of prepping a model for Slapchop in a way that creates dramatic lighting. If you're a veteran at using speed paints, you're probably going to want to sign off after that part of the video. If, however, you're like me and not so well versed at using speed paints, stick around. I'll show you how I managed to screw up using these super simple paints and what I did to correct the situation. There are two ways to prepare your miniature for this style of Slapchop. Three if you include dry brushing, which I'm not going to cover since I wouldn't recommend it for this particular style. There are a few steps, but each is very straightforward. Both methods begin with a basic black primer. Then you have a choice between a rattle can zenithal or an airbrush zenithal highlight. However, this isn't a typical zenithal highlight, or I guess it's probably not even technically a zenithal highlight at all, since the highlights aren't coming from the apex point directly above the miniature, which is also known as the zenith. We're gonna highlight the miniature from one side. For the rattle can highlights, I first spray gray from above all around the miniature, leaving some black visible in the recesses and downward facing areas. I follow this up with a matte white spray on one side of the miniature. I spray at a downward angle across the front right side of the model. I make sure that the paint is fully flowing as I pass over the entire length of the miniature. I never depress or release the nozzle while it's pointed directly at the miniature. The other option for this highlight step is to use an airbrush to accomplish the exact same thing. I choose a light to medium gray and spray this around the mini from above. I spray from a steeper angle on the dark side of the mini, which in this case is the left, and I'll spray at a shallower angle on the well-lit side of the mini to make it appear more illuminated. Finally, I spray some white ink from above the miniature on its right front side. The final step in preparing this miniature for Slapchop is to use a standard brush and matte white acrylic paint to intensify the main highlights and add some edge highlights. This works like a dream on the airbrush version of the Mini because every layer transition is so silky smooth to begin with. I have to warn you though, you may have a little more work to do if you choose the rattle can method of zenithal highlighting. I've had great success using rattle cans for zenithal highlights in the past, but this Rust-Oleum white primer produced more speckles than I've seen with other brands. If you're going to use rattle cans for this, I'd recommend something like Krylon white primer because it seems to produce a finer spray with much less speckling. Either way, once we begin the final highlight stage, it's easy to see that neither the rattle can highlights nor the airbrush highlights produce fully opaque coverage. This is exactly what we want, and this is exactly what makes this final step so valuable. We're now able to apply the most intense highlights to some key features. I want to draw the viewer's attention towards the head and upper torso and even the weapons. For the rattle can version, we'll also have to spend a little extra time ironing out those darn little white dots. So if you're an expert with speed paints, then this might be where we part ways. But before you go, I want to share a quick Slapchop OSL step that we can apply to the back of the miniature. Completely optional, of course. This is accomplished very easily with a little titanium white ink on the raised surfaces. Leaving the back side of the Mini dark like this is great for creating contrast horizontally across the miniature. It also creates a nice foundation for OSL if we choose to add it. I'm choosing to add this OSL simply because I think it adds even more contrast to the piece. It makes the paint job look more interesting in my opinion. I'm going for a very fast, sketched OSL here, which only takes a few minutes. You can spend as much time as you'd like if you prefer a little more refinement. I paint directly over these white highlights with Plasmatic Bolt. I painted these highlights as if the light is coming from below the character, so they shouldn't compete with the dominant light source coming from the model's upper right. I use Plasmatic Bolt broadly over these highlights, extending it beyond the boundary of the white layer so it blends more naturally with the surrounding colors. These are all 2.0 speed paints, but it does appear that I got a little reactivation when I painted Plasmatic Bolt over the green. Anyway, this is how the model should look fully completed with a little OSL on the back. And now we'll demonstrate how we got to this point. Procedurally speaking, this is the easiest phase of the process. I simply take the color that most closely matches the game art and paint it into place. The main thing I have to focus on with these speed paints is coloring within the lines. I'm so used to painting with standard acrylic paints where I paint wide and clean it up later that this is something I really need to focus on. So I think where I messed up with these speed paints is not thinning them. These first two colors are going on pretty nice, but as we'll see later, some of the colors are incredibly opaque for speed paints. The problem with opaque speed paints is twofold. First, they reduce the vibrance of the highlights that we work so hard to establish with underpainting. The other less obvious issue is that painting opaque paint over the shadow areas makes them appear much less dark. By simply thinning the paint a little, I could have avoided this. Purple Swarm is the most egregious offender of excessive opacity. I really need to pick up some contrast medium if I'm going to continue painting this way. The speed paints I have are mostly bold Crayola crayon-like colors. Fortunately, these colors are perfectly suited to replicate the game art. I follow a couple of YouTube channels with people who actually know how to use these paints, and they paint miniatures very similar to what I paint, like Cthulhu Death May Die and Zombicide. Rob over at Rob Paints Board Game Miniatures already zenithal highlights his minis for Slapchop, and he uses some very interesting colors other than typical grayscale for his zenithal highlights, so he could easily do this himself if he wanted. The other dude, Curtis over at Coffee House Productions. He paints a lot of Cthulhu Death May Die minis using Slapchop. His unique thing is he does a lot of wet blending with speed paints, and he gets some very cool looking color transitions doing that. Again, I'm not sure if this is something he'd be into. It would be fun to see those two paint minis half in shadow and add a little Slapchop OSL to the dark side. This next concoction is the one that I'm actually proud of. This is my recipe for non-metallic gunmetal parts. It's a 50-50 mix of Plasmatic Bolt and Occultist Cloak. This one actually works fairly well without thinning because Plasmatic Bolt is so very translucent all on its own. Then everything that's left gets a quick coat of Occultist Cloak speed paint. I think this paint job looks pretty mid as it stands now. The highlights are where they're supposed to be, but I feel everything needs a little more pop. The purple helmet is a complete fail that needs to be brought back to life. Luckily, I have acrylic paints also, and I know how to use them. We can use these to touch up the speed paints in a few areas for some added depth. I believe some painters refer to this as Slapchop Plus. It adds a little bit of time to traditional Slapchop, but it's still much faster than creating this finish with traditional layering. Even with the more opaque speed paints, the shade, midtone, and some initial highlights are present with one coat of speed paint. And since painting the final highlights is the fastest step when layering, this really isn't that big of a deal. We're able to make very large jumps in color value since this paint is only applied to the brightest sections of the underlying speed paints. Using standard acrylic paints definitely wasn't in the plan for this model. I've never used acrylic paint over speed paint before, but I'm digging how it looks. I'm glad I didn't surrender to my failed attempt with speed paints and continued to try to save the piece with a few acrylics. I've certainly learned some lessons that I'll carry forward to my next paint job. I think I'd like to try this Slapchop Plus technique again where I apply finishing touches with acrylic paint over a Slapchop base, but on purpose this time. I'm curious to see what I can do with this if it's intentional right from the start, if it's part of the plan. All of the shiny objects that aren't gunmetal get a little dot or dash of ice yellow. These highlights should be small enough that they don't alter the object's overall color appearance. The green armor really isn't a big deal since yellow is a great natural highlight for green, but we should be particularly careful not to get carried away with ice yellow on the purple helmet. Finally, I use Glacier Blue to add little glints of light to the weapons. Well, the OSL is actually the final step in the process, but I showed that earlier in the video. It seems like this Doom Guy character is my nemesis when it comes to forcing me to alter my plans for painting projects. But as always, I enjoy the process and I usually learn something that I can use on future projects. I'd like to thank my amazing channel members for supporting what I do on this channel. You too can become a channel member for as little as $1.99 per month using the link in the description and receive perks such as early access to videos, extended versions of our painting tutorials, and even a tier that lets you choose which miniature I paint next. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to join our growing community of unchained predators.